That's a good exercise really for anybody, right? So if you are looking to exit your company, you want to put yourself in their shoes because ultimately what would you want if you were them? And a lot of times you're going to be pretty close to getting it, maybe 80, 90% accurate. Did you instigate some of those conversations? It sounds like you had several vendors that you worked with, pretty large contracts. It's natural for them for you to think, hey, this is a really good acquire of us. How did you start those conversations or did they start those with you?
So we hired an investment bank, Bear Stearns, out of New York, and so they were responsible for helping us kind of market the business and take it out. And you learn a lot of lessons in that process too, right? I mean, today I run an investment bank, but one of the things that we learned really quickly was, that decision. So we hired Bear Stearns because they were, quote, the experts in the communications industry. But one of the things that we learned is, when you hire somebody who's an expert in a particular industry, there's a lot of potential for conflict. Bear Stearns had also done a fair amount of work for Avaya. And so, that's something, especially if you're on the sell side, you're hiring an investment bank, you want to be really clear that they're on your side and not necessarily have any potential conflicts.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
when you get into that size, right? There's just going to be crossover. You find that a lot with law firms where they're big enough that they just have to do their due diligence that they might not be on the other side of this. So
Right.
now you've done since then you've started Class X Partners. You've done a lot of really interesting things. You also wrote a book, Harvest: The Definitive Guide to Selling Your Company. Let's dive into a little bit about selling your business, right? Since you've acquired a lot of companies, you've sold companies. Um, where I'm coming from before this question is, it, how can a business owner increase the value of their company before they sell? And where I'm coming from is, as a buyer, if you see these things not done, this could be part of your value add after you take it over.
Yeah, it's a great question, Ryan. I think when we think about value, right, one of the things we try to you want to kind of break it up a little bit, right? So we think about there's certainly financial value, right? Hey, is your business growing? Are the margins that you're generating expanding? When you look at the long-term value of a customer versus what it costs to acquire, are those ratios in line? So you have all the what I would call traditional financial metrics, and in particular, hey, what does the future growth plan look like? So you kind of financial, then you kind of look at what's the growth prospects of the business and how supportable is that growth plan. It's remarkable to me when you talk to an entrepreneur or a business owner, they have a general sense for how they're going to grow. But in terms of the detailed plan and what that looks like from a personnel standpoint, from a financial standpoint, from a capital standpoint, most entrepreneurs haven't done that work. But if you're going to go sell your business and present it to the investment community, you've got to do that work. You've got to build that growth story. Then you think about, what I call, it's almost like cleaning up your house before you sell it, right? We call it organizational. You have your books and records in place. Do you have your contracts for your top customers, your top suppliers? Are they executed? Are they easy to access? Are your books and records well organized? Do you have any legal issues? So you have to look at organizational, and then you look at customers. What's your customer base like? Do you have customer concentration? Meaning, is a lot of revenue coming from a single customer or a small group of customers? That introduces a lot of risk. As a buyer, right? If you saw that and you felt like you could expand that, hey, that puts you in a much better position, right, to be able to expand that revenue base. Are your customers of good credit quality, right? Are you selling to the Fortune 500, or are you selling to, folks that may not pay on time? Then you look at your team. How deep is the management team? And this is particularly for your listeners. It's likely that the acquisitions that you're going to be looking at, they're not going to have a deep team. But if you're able to bring not only your skill set, but then contemplate, hey, I'm going to be able to bring on, an executive team to bring additional skill sets, you'll make that business a lot more valuable. So depth of team, quality of the team, duration of the team, how long have they been together? And then you look at kind of, I think you've referred to it in some of your other podcasts as what's the moat, right? What is that barrier to entry? What is my strategic advantage? Is it a business where it's, yeah, I run faster and jump higher? Or is it a business where, hey, I've basically locked out the potential for somebody to really compete with me? You're looking for, do I have an exclusive territory? Do I have a patented product? Do I have a software application that, is protected? Those are the reasons why, people would need to stay out, away from your business. And so we look at that kind of wheel, and you examine each one of those different buckets. And um, we use our own application. It's called Copilot, but it basically allows us to examine a business really quickly. They answer about 120 questions. That allows a business really quickly to see, hey, do I have issues in any one of those different buckets? And certainly happy to make that available to your listeners. So